So I'm gonna be honest, when I first heard of Maul Shadow Lord, I was thinking it was gonna be a live action series. I don't know if at some point it was going to be a live action series and it pivoted due to something behind the scenes, obviously. However, it is most definitely not a live action series. It's an animated series, and the animation is pretty cool. It's very interesting. It has almost this like painterly texture to it. Very interesting, very Clone Wars, but you can tell that this is kind of an evolution beyond that. I've heard that the show is only going to run 10 episodes, which is a bit shorter than previous Star Wars animation we've seen. Although I'm hoping that that shorter runtime isn't indicative of less care going into the show, but more quality and care going into each episode. And if I'm being honest, just looking at the trailer, I think there could be some precedence for that. So if you're new to my channel, we make cinematic content, video game, Star Wars cinematic content. Think of it, if you're familiar with like machinima type stuff, this is next gen machinima. That is what we're aiming for on this channel. So if you like that kind of stuff, go ahead and subscribe, drop a like, and let's check out Maul Shadow Lord. So see, especially in the backgrounds, you can really see like this kind of painterly like texture. There's this like you can almost see the brush strokes. I mean, in fact, I think even, if you look back in the buildings, it almost feels like you can. But then those brush strokes kind of blend into like the fog and the smoke and things like that. So really cool. What I heard about this was that the reasoning they were giving for having this new texture to the show, I think one, they want to kind of set it apart, because let's be honest, Star Wars animation has done quite a bit, and it has a very singular style. The quality has improved over time, but let's be real, if you go all the way back to the Star Wars Clone Wars original movie, the quality has been top-notch from the beginning. So they definitely wanted to do something here to set it apart, but what I heard is that a lot of the styling has come from Maul being the central character, kind of his view on everything, the lens that he looks at the galaxy through. It's kind of shifted, it's kind of skewed, it's kind of altered, and so that's what they're trying to invoke in the animation. When I first heard this, I was worried that maybe it was going to go too far, get a little bit too crazy. And that could be cool, but how do you really maintain a series like that? Because undoubtedly, if this first season is successful, they're going to be looking for another season. They're going to want to do more. So I don't think that, although Maul is the titular character, I'm not certain that he is going to be the main character in every episode. I think that would wear too thin too quickly to have an actual series. I think we're going to see him more being kind of the connecting thread and the overarching presence. Much how, like in the Clone Wars, very much Anakin was, you could say, the main character, but he's not even in every episode, right? As much as it revolves around the Chosen One, it's really much more about the setting and the time and the things that are happening, that this character is kind of the linchpin within, which for Anakin it was the Clone Wars, and it looks like here for Maul it's going to be the crime syndicate. So maybe this is a setup for episodes 10, 11, and 12, and we might actually see Maul. That would be very interesting. That would be a very interesting narrative arc for this character if you followed from episode 1, which I'm sure most of you have, if you're here watching this video and on this channel. But me personally, I was 8 years old when episode 1 came out. So I was the age of Anakin Skywalker. And yeah, I've I've been very interested in Maul ever since. I don't know if this has been said explicitly, but I mean, this has got to be about his time in the criminal underworld. Unless I'm missing something. I haven't seen all of Disney Star Wars. I'm getting caught up right now. I took a break for a while. I wasn't sure where Disney was taking Star Wars. I wasn't sure if it was something I really had the emotional stamina to keep up with. The constant disappointments was, I mean, it's been a lot. I was definitely someone who during Star Wars Episode 8, in the theater while I was watching it, I mean, that was the closest experience I've ever had to feeling like I was watching a train wreck. Since then, I have a different opinion on the sequel trilogy. It's not by any means my favorite. I would say that my favorite trilogy is the prequels, but I would say that the originals still carries the heart of the Star Wars narrative universe. But I really do believe that in the future, we're going to see that a lot of people, especially younger people, really resonate with the sequels. I think we're going to see a lot of shifting attitude towards the sequels. Now, I mean, I'm a filmmaker. This has been my whole life and my whole interest. Like I said, I've got a lot of problem with the sequels, but that's okay. That's okay, because there really is something good about all of Star Wars. Even The Acolyte. The Acolyte has a lot of problems, but there are good things that have come out of The Acolyte. And, you know, I feel, and this isn't just about Kathleen Kennedy leaving, but recently I have taken some greater, just kind of had some time to sit and deal with my outlook on Star Wars and how closely attached to Star Wars I've been in the past. Definitely not to any huge degree. I've never dressed up. I've never gone to any major convention. So, you know, as far as a hardcore fan goes, I'm very casual. But definitely Star Wars has had a huge impact on my life. So it's taken some time for me to step back and say, okay, it's all right for Star Wars to grow, and I don't have to agree with every decision. So with that said, that's where I've decided on this channel to start making our own Star Wars content. Not because what Disney is doing is horrendous. I believe that Disney ultimately is the right place for Star Wars. But for sure, we are having growing pains. So on this channel, I'm making some of our own Star Wars content, not to diss on what Disney is doing, but because I do love Star Wars, because I do feel that the fans and the fan-made content, whether those be things that become official, like novels and different things like that, people who are fans are the people who carry Star Wars. And not all the fans are going to agree. And you know what? It's a big galaxy, and that's kind of the point. So I think it does work. I think there's room for all of us in this galaxy. And as proof of that, we have here Maul Shadowlord. So what role is he going to play in the Empire's downfall? Because he's clearly not working with the Emperor. I don't think that's any surprise to anyone. But so what role is he playing? We know that Luke delivers the final blow to the Death Star, and so I have a lot of hope in what Dave Filoni's going to do. I truly believe that he really does love Star Wars, and honestly, that's what we need. We need people who love Star Wars and not people who are exploitative of Star Wars. And exploitative people usually have a pretty good start because they offer something that's a bit more on the edge, and, you know, audiences get a little taste of that something else, but they never take care of it. They never ever shepherd the IP in a good direction, and it dies every single time. So, you know, here's to some hope for the future of Star Wars. So far, honestly, bringing Sam Witwer further into Star Wars is amazing. I think he's great for Star Wars. I really do. Again, I don't agree with absolutely every single thing that he says, but I mean, we don't need to agree with everything that everyone says that we look up to. But I've looked up to this guy since The Force Unleashed. And, you know, I know he's getting older, but I still want to see a live-action take on The Force Unleashed. Even if it's just a one-off. Even if it's just a short film. I want to see that. And even if we never get it, I just feel like he's another person who actually does get Star Wars. You know, he genuinely does get what George Lucas was projecting. So between him and Dave Filoni, I think this show is going to be an absolute hit. But let me know what you think. We've got a lot of new things coming. Like I said, we've got some incredible animation of our own coming. So if you like Star Wars animation, which I'm guessing you do, because that's why you're watching this and you've watched up to this point, subscribe and let us know what you would like to see next from the fans. So we're going to be talking with other fan creators. We're going to be highlighting different exciting fan projects. We're going to be making fan projects of our own. And we're also going to be talking about what Lucasfilm does with Star Wars. And, you know, hopefully we see a lot of really good stuff. I think we will. Let me know what you think.